I hand over now to Toby, who will talk about the financial outputs. Welcome, Toby.
Thank you, Sophie. And good afternoon, everyone. I hope that you have enjoyed the presentations from all our colleagues outlining the exciting projects that we have in place to achieve our strategy, to achieve our sustainability objectives, but also to drive sustainable economic growth. Now, today I will be talking about the financial aspects of that growth, but we are deep in our closed period, so we will not be talking about more general trading and current profit expectations. So let us start by talking about our approach to our target returns. We've long had in Renewi a pre-tax target return on operating assets of somewhere between 16 and 20%, which clearly is accretive to our WACC, which is currently somewhere between 6 and 7.5%. We've got a really strong track record of delivering those target returns, and this investment pipeline is expected to meet at least that minimum hurdle. Now, the question is when those profits come through. Small investments, for example, putting an optical sorter on the end of an existing line, they can be immediately accretive. But some of the larger investments, for example, the bio-LNG or the advanced sorting lines, they can take up to a year before the returns start to flow at the targeted level. Now, again, this is not just about top-line growth, as was touched on earlier. Investments, sometimes they increase revenue, sometimes they reduce cost. So in our business, we focus on the margin and on the spread in order to assess the success of our investments. Again, a positive feature of our business is that while we are focusing on the actual capital investment required, there is no material additional working capital required to fund our growth. So let's now turn to the slides which show the timing of our investments. Well, these are the investments we've talked about today. So in terms of organics, we have a quantum of 21 million euros, of which most will commission this year, but we are also assuming in later years a purchase of the bio-LNG facility from Nordsol. If we look at the building materials at ATM, we've got 17 million euros investment, most of which has already been spent, and the certification and the scale-up underway, as you saw in Theo's video. For a plastics perspective, we are investing 10 million euros at Acht, which will commission in late 2022. Now, the advanced sorting lines are the biggest single spend item, 60 million euros for 3 lines. The first line will commission in 2022, lines 2 and 3 will commission during 2023. We've got one small minerals investment of 2 million, which will commission early next year. And as we talked about before, Retormat Trust is a total investment of a bit under 5 million euros in an original shareholder investment and then a subsequent top-up funding round to build that 5th line, and with more in planning. So that's the investments. Now let's look at the phasing of them, and you can see here that 19 million euros of a total of 110 million euros in all the projects we've talked about today, 19 million has already been spent. 23 million euros is going to be spent in the year we're in, back half loaded. 42 million euros in fiscal year 23, and then declining again back to 19 million in 24 and 7 in fiscal year 25. And you can imagine from our growing earnings profile that this level of investment is very comfortably covered by the profit growth and the cash generation that we have. Now, if we look at the consequent EBIT from these investments, we're making a small loss at the moment, and that's in particular because of the filler, sand and gravel lines, whereas Theo explained very clearly, until we've got the certifications, then the spread on these new products is actually pretty slim. But that will improve with time, and as the other investments come through, you can see us moving rapidly towards that confident delivery of greater than 20 million euros targeted from fiscal year 26. So, 110 million euros of spend, 20 million euros of EBIT by the end of 2025. This excludes Retormat Trust, because Retormat Trust, as an associate company, delivers earnings below the EBIT line. That return ratio, you can see, is comfortably in excess of our target of 16 to 20%, and further projects remain in the pipeline, as Otto touched on in one of the slides much earlier today. So this comes towards the end of our exciting growth story, focusing on the circular innovation segment of our growth strategy. To restate some of the messages you've heard today, the climate emergency is leading to a real global focus on ESG and an understanding that to meet the demands of COP26, we all have to up our game. That means that our markets are evolving and evolving in a positive way as fast as I've ever seen in my time in this industry. We operate, and we're privileged to operate, in some of the most advanced circular economies in Europe. That means that our operating environment already favours recycling with things like incineration taxes, carbon taxes. But it also means that we're creating capabilities that are ready for export around the remainder of Europe as and when other countries become advanced circular economies. Our recycling model offers unique customer solutions, things that they can only come to us for, and that drives attractive growth and good returns for us. And I hope you've heard today there's enormous upside potential in recycling. Now, we've been innovating for years, a long and successful track record, and you've heard today about the next 4 projects that are going to drive our ongoing growth. That programme outlined today is going to deliver 20 million euros of EBIT by the end of 2025. But that's just the beginning, because when you look at what we've seen today, we have scalability into other territories or even in advanced sorting across into Wallonia and then into the Netherlands. And we have other further projects under development in our robust and sophisticated innovation pipeline that was outlined by Bas van Ginkel. So we conclude, we are going to spend 110 million euros over the next 3 to 4 years, which will deliver more than 20 million euros of EBIT, more than 30 million euros of EBITDA, and as importantly, will help us achieve our Mission 75 recycling target and save 500,000 tonnes of CO2 every year.